evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Sarcastic Barman, and welcome to the pub. The stars have aligned, everything's come together, and the pub's officially back open. Woo! For the next 15 days, because after that I've decided to fuck it all and close for Christmas because I can't sell alcohol without anyone having food, and it's fucking annoying. So you all better order double the amount of beer and double the amount of food tonight to make up for it. How goddamn dare you if you don't. But looking after us tonight, acting as bouncer, I'm not sure how because he can't move around the room because he's a head in a jar, but who knows? It's the Dead Kennedy in Space.
Laser brain. It's very simple.
Oh yeah, laser brain. Oh yeah, and you've got a UFO body.
I don't even have to move. I just have to threaten. It's great. It's a wonderful life. I'm doing good, though. Hanging in there. Not really suffering quite as badly from any of the current restrictions as Barman is, so I'm glad for that. But let's go around the table and see who's with us. First of all, Mr. Dawson, how are you today?
Hey, good. There was a little recovery in the world of the computer. I had the big GPU failure of 2020, and I got an order in and it failed. I got an order in and it failed. So I'm down a whole whack of cash waiting for refunds. And I got it should just do the job used, stuffed in there, and it's running. So with a little, blood, sweat, and tears, it'll make it through the show. So I'm not going to say any more about it in case it gets angry with me.
Oh boy, you guys should have seen the Mount St. Helens we just endured for the last 2 days. Mike Bertelson, how are you today, sir? Mike?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was muted. I'm not paying attention. Yeah, doing good. Looking forward to tonight's discussion because there's a whole lot of things on there that are annoying and people don't know. So I can't wait for us to get started with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the other side of that coin joining us tonight, Linda Bertelson. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to being here tonight.
Excellent. Very good to have you. And let's see, who else do we have with us here today? PhD Tony, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. I got to eat finally, so that's good. Always better to have food than not. Yes, I think so. I had to fast for a blood test earlier, so I was got a bit lightheaded just towards the end there, but yeah. And got to talk to Phil Bell this morning, which is always a pleasure, a privilege even. And Colin decided to quiz us while I was fasting for my blood test. You ruthless bastard. Okay. Yes.
It was fun.
Well, speaking of the ruthless bastard himself, Colin, how are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm just relaxing down. I've got another day off tomorrow through special circumstances. But life is relaxing, seeing as I don't have to push the damn buttons for a change. And Barman, get the drinks in, will you?
Yeah.
All right. Order all round. I'll pay for it.
I'll add it to your tab.
Nice. Oh, don't forget, it's wine for PhD Tony and a scotch for Linda.
Deal. Larges of each.
Larges of each. Excellent. And keeping an eye on the chat and keeping us all in line as per usual, we have Aimee Hogan. How are you today?
I am doing great, thank you. We actually had a sunshiny day. We have power here, which is a good thing. We like to have storms here where we lose power. More than likely Saturdays will be the same, but we're doing good, and we have a kiddo here with us too, don't we? But we're doing great, thank you. Looking forward to tonight. We're gonna have some fun.
For sure.
For
sure. Hello, Super Chat Matt.
Can you say hi? Oh yeah, good old Matt.
All right, well, what's been going on, everybody? Who wants to start us off with any kind of stupid they've seen lately, or do we have anything on the table that we want to talk about?
Good news.
Ooh.
The UK is going to start vaccinating, hopefully, as of next week. Mass vaccination centres are being set up. The list of who's getting vaccinated first and things like that are going up. So, yeah, it could be for the UK at least, by mid-March, most of the population could be vaccinated.
Well,
there's going to be some sorry, Kev. There's going to be some logistical nightmare in that, obviously, because we're going with the Pfizer one to start with. So it's injection start with, then 4 weeks later another one, and then everybody else is getting injected at the same time. But damn, about bloody time! Bring it on.
Well, it does sound excellent, but I'm a little worried because I did read an article recently that said U2 is going to be sneaking their new album into every vaccine.
There you go.
Is it going on the microchips or?
So how are they doing in the UK? I guess in the US we're going to have a card that they put the first shot on, and the date for your second shot, so you go back and get it.
I'm not too sure. I would guess they'd use something like our national insurance number, because everyone's got a national insurance number to start with, so they can just keep a record on that.
Yeah.
I know they've got plans for at least 6 mass vaccination centres at the moment. So hopefully there won't be too much travel for that. I'm not too sure as yet, because it's not being administered from like your normal doctors and things because of the temperature and how it's got to be kept. And then once you've let it defrost, you've only got 5 days really to use it. So I'm guessing we'll get cards saying, please come on this day.
Yeah, probably. But Colin's right. It's going to be a logistical nightmare no matter how you look at it.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. And there will be the unfortunate... Go on.
I was just going to say it's a much better logistical nightmare than the logistical nightmare of COVID continuing will be.
Oh, hell yeah. Keeping us all locked down and shit like that. Yeah, that's been no fun.
So you have a choice between a vaccine or a ventilator. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing I'm not looking forward to, which is going to ruin it all, with we got to be completely honest, on a mass scale vaccination program like this, there are going to be reactions from people who didn't know they were going to get reactions. The best of testing, they've tested 40-odd thousand people, but they're about to vaccinate 60-odd million.
Right.
So there's going to be, even if it's 0.1%, it's going to be bad. But yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for the anti-vaxxer conspiracy theories coming out on all that.
Oh God, yeah. There was a good little section on. There's a program on BBC Radio 2 that Colin probably know called Jeremy Vine. He's on at like 12 o'clock UTC. You can watch it on SoundCloud and stuff like that. But they interviewed 2 people about the vaccine today. One's a former basically doing vaccinations and things like that in the programs for it, and he went through answering people's questions, and fair play, there was no stupid questions, which was really good. So I think the people on the phones were very good at filtering out the stupid question. I want to know how much mercury it's got in it. Why's my finger up my nose again? But yeah, it's going to be an odd couple of months, but yeah, you still get the people like
Barman.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, just give them a tuna sandwich. There's more mercury in that than there's going to be in the bloody vaccine.
Well, hell yeah. Yeah, mercury, aluminium, everything we eat's got more in. But it's going to be a weird 2 months. And yeah, you still get the people who go, you've rushed it all. Unlimited funding and some of the best scientists in the world can get things done quite quick.
Yeah, especially when that's the project you're working on. There is nothing else going on, because that's how this went. It said, okay, here's all the resources. I don't care what you're working on. You're working on this now. So,
and I bet they all got big bonuses. I bet the Pfizer one's got big bonus for finishing first with one that passed trials.
I bet somebody's making a mint. And it isn't me, so I don't even know if this kind of a vaccine would even have something like mercury in it. It's not your typical vaccine. There's no virus in it. There's no live attenuated or dead virus. It's
the proteins of the shell or something, isn't it?
Yeah, an messenger RNA, mRNA vaccine. So yeah, it's it's different. So. Of course, there's a lot of Covidiots out there going that it is rewriting we saw that last week. You're rewriting your DNA because we can do that with a shot.
I think that was the one stupid question that was asked, and the guy's response was, "No, it's not, and it's not going to have microchips in either." So at least he had a joke at all that.
Yeah, the microchip one really crap. The microchip one really gets me too, because why would we do that? I mean, even if we could do that, why would anybody want to do that?
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
It's not as if you can find people from that far away with the microchip. Instead, just give them phones that transmit their data all the time.
Oh yeah, let's see who would. Oh yeah.
Yeah, at least the phone's got a microphone built in, GPS built in, a camera built in. You basically have every program will want to use your photos at some point, so it can see all your previous photos.
Yeah, it keeps a log of every Wi-Fi public access point you've been to and been near or drove past. Nothing useful in all that data.
No, especially at the moment, because in the UK we've got an NHS track and trace app with your Bluetooth constantly enabled. So people, if you go past someone who's had a positive case, your phone will basically beep it and say, "You've been close to someone. Was it outside or what?" And you can look back and go, "Oh, okay." So it's tracking all your data and everything. So why would they really need a microchip?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the stupider claims, because there's no reason for it to exist. So,
nah.
Speaking of stupid claims,
there's a good one in chat for the poll. A poll is open. What's worse, anti-vax or flat earther? Please vote now.
Can I offer an opinion on that?
Yes.
Anti-vax. Because anti-vaccination ideology directly results in deaths or injuries or medical problems, whereas flat Earth is, on the surface, harmless.
Can you give me a flat earther who isn't an anti-vaxxer?
Allegedly feel Jesus in you.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, we don't know if feel Jesus in you is real, so.
It's a good point too.
Yes, it is.
I didn't know that.
But you raise a very good point that Feel Jesus in You is the only one I know who is not an anti-vaxxer.
Well, there's the other question then. Which came first for them? The flat Earth, which sent them down that rabbit hole, which led them to anti-vax, chemtrails, and for some of them, nuclear weapons are fake, or did they think anti-vaccines were bad to start with and then fell down the rabbit hole of flat Earth? Is flat Earth the gateway stupid?
It certainly can be.
That's a good question.
This came up recently, and my opinion on this was, I think History Channel and Ancient Aliens have a lot of blame to take right now, because they're making this stuff easy to swallow.
They do, and they've also, like, because they're out there, grifters can pick up on their techniques and repeat them on YouTube. But I would also say that if someone became a flat earther and then later became an anti-vaxxer, I would say they were already paranoid about those sorts of things to begin with.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, well, you've seen interviews with Patricia Steer and Mark Sargent, and and they were already into conspiracies. So yeah, I think that they just had that whole mentality going on and just bought into every conspiracy that they ran across, because that's what they do.
Is that Hawk Skull just in the chat? My local flat earther fell in via 9/11 conspiracies. So
yeah,
one conspiracy does seem to lead to another.
It does.
Yeah, can't really seem to pin down a point of origin aside from paranoia in general.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, one can well understand how the psychological shock of 9/11 can have serious repercussions, right? I have a friend, and sort of I lived in the US for 5 years, and we were watching Life on Mars, the television series,
Yeah.
And they have an episode, the original British version, and there's an episode about football hooliganism. And my stepson said, I don't understand why they have an episode. This seems a bit stupid to have an episode dedicated to this. And I've gone, well, the Hillsborough Stadium disaster was England's 9/11, really. It just had an enormous shock to the psyche of the entire nation. But and these things can happen. They can just drive people off the deep end.
You have to,
Tony.
You have to. Go on.
I just wanted to ask really quickly, the Hillsborough disaster, is that what I think it is? It was a stadium fire and it led to a panic of people getting out?
Yes, and the anti-violence procedures, the crowd violence procedures actually led to the crowd being trapped there. So there was a lot of people died crushed up against the gates trying to get out. And the police then attempted, after the event, the police then attempted to deflect the blame onto the victims of the disaster. So a lot of reforms came out of it. I think it took like decades for the police to actually finally admit some level of culpability for what happened there.
The trial was still going on last year. The inquiry.
Yep, that's right. Anyway, it was a major. I remember watching the footage of that, and it really had a profound impact on me, a profound psychological impact. These people went to have a good day at the football, and an unimaginable tragedy befell them. And it was, and 9/11 has the same effect. So I can understand. I remember watching the news bulletin for 9/11. I was at home at that, and it just has a profound psychological effect. And some people just never recover from it. They go, well, there must be some deeper meaning to this. There must be some reason this happened. Somebody must have screwed up. Somebody must have done something wrong. Apart from just a bunch of rabid assholes. Decided to fly some planes into a building. It has to be worse than that. It has to be bigger. The world has to be more flawed than they previously understood.
Well, they did come out that there was alarm bells. There were disparate pieces of information spread across different government agencies who didn't talk to each other and really still don't really talk to each other. So, yeah, there was a lot of blame to go around, but these guys want to make it,
They take it one step beyond blame, though, don't they? It's like they blew them up. So, okay.
I heard recently something that I hadn't heard previously, that apparently the lateness of the transition, sort of the delay in 2000. The delay in resolving the 2000 election actually played into the lack of coherence in the intelligence community.
Huh. I didn't hear that.
Interesting.
What's up?
If that's the case, then next year, no agency's going to talk to each other. Who knows who's going to be the president next year?
Pretty much everybody, I think. But,
What's his latest thing? He's trying to repeal bits to get them to cancel the. Like, what the hell? He's like a child in a fucking pram throwing his toys out. No,
Michael Flynn, the guy he just pardoned, is now retweeting this right-wing nut job organization in Ohio about suspending the Constitution and declaring martial law.
Wow.
You gotta be kidding me.
Good God.
So I just want to bring up, have you heard about him removing the US from the Eye in the Sky agreement?
No.
Yeah.
So the US participates in the Eye in the Sky agreement, in which 18 signatory countries share their aerial reconnaissance data, and mostly it's the US sharing their aerial reconnaissance data with European countries, and mostly it's to keep an eye on Russian troop movements. So not only has Trump removed the US from this, but the 2 planes that they've got that are equipped were within hours being disassembled.
God's sake.
So that even if Biden wants to reverse this decision, he's not going to have the hardware necessary to participate anymore. And the ordering of replacement planes was cancelled 6 months ago.
What a fucking child!
He really is.
Like, it's just it's not just random vandalism. It is, up until his last day, he's going to continue the theme of what can I do that will benefit Russia. And I don't know why he's so fixated on it, but it certainly seems to motivate pretty much everything he does.
It's where his next 8 golf courses are going.
Maybe so.
Yeah, I think it's financially motivated, because his whole motivation is financial and personally motivated. Even becoming president was personally motivated.
Say he could.
Power.
Yeah.
Errant Massa in chat just put, can't this be constructed as abuse of office or treason? Because if he is fucking the country up on purpose, could it? Abuse of office or treason?
Well, I don't know about treason, but definitely abuse of office. He's been impeached once already.
Yeah, it certainly can't be treason. Treason is really only a statute that applies when the country is at war. And you know, he would argue that he's just applying his discretion as commander in chief, and that he's perfectly entitled to do that. And so, you know, it's very difficult to define where disagreements on policy and actual abuse of office, where valid disagreement on policy begins and where abuse of office ends. From my perspective, the Republican opposition to socialized healthcare is murderous. It kills people. And so I don't understand how they get away with killing 10 to 50,000 Americans a year through neglect, and that's perfectly okay. Nobody seems to mind. But apparently you can, and you know, moderate Republicans will tell you that, you know, it's just a disagreement on finances or government overreach or whatever their justification is this week. But it frustrates the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if we shouldn't try to get a couple of the things that Mike was so good to get us about some idiots in the COVID scene that we have going on right now. Yeah. Because, wow, we have quite a few. We have some stupidity.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I was stupid.
Where to start? Well, we have a video that I uploaded. It's short. It's only about 4 minutes, but it's I also am arguing with some idiots in the comments section of that video too. Apparently, I'm a liar and full of bullshit. So
I get that a lot.
Yeah,
I think we all do, don't we?
Yeah. So. Yeah, this video is going to set up where we're going from here. So,
yeah. So I've got it all set here. I can make it happen and rock and roll. Let me just double check and make sure that it will spew some audio out for everybody. Oh, I do believe it will. Look at that. Okay. Yeah, we're good to go. So I'll push play here. Are we in a pause play thing, or are we just going to let this roll, Mike? What are we going to do here?
I think we should just let this one roll. It's only 4 minutes. So, and this actually is going to set up for some other stuff we're going to talk about this evening. So,
okay, perfect. So here is 4 minutes of, here we go.
Their last dying words are, this can't be happening. It's not real. And when they should be spending time FaceTiming their families, they're filled with anger and hatred. think the hardest thing to watch is that people are still looking for something else, and they want a magic answer, and they don't want to believe that COVID is real.
I remember watching that show.
The reason I tweeted what I did is it wasn't one particular patient, it's just a culmination of so many people, and their last dying words are, this can't be happening, it's not real. And when they should be spending time FaceTiming their families, they're filled with anger and hatred, and it just made me really sad the other night. And I just can't believe that those are going to be their last thoughts and words. Try to reason with people of, can I call your family, your kids, your wife, your friend, your brother? And they say no, because I'm going to be fine. And you're watching their oxygen levels, maxed out on what we call vapotherm at 100%, and their oxygen level might be 75. It's not really that compatible with life, and we know where that's going to head. And it just makes you sad and mad and frustrated. I think people look for anything. People want it to be influenza. They want it to be pneumonia. They want it to be... we've even had people say, well, I think maybe it might be lung cancer. Something so far-fetched. And the reality is, since day one, when COVID started in this area in March, you've kind of been able to say, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. Like, I hate to tell you that you have COVID, but that's what you have. Even after positive results come back, some people just don't believe it. Like, it's just a movie where the credits never roll. You just do it all over again, and it's hard and sad because every hospital, every nurse, every doctor in this state is seeing the same things. These people get sick in the same way, you treat them in the same way, they die in the same way, and then you do it over again. And we're so thankful for the lessons we've learned along the way, and we're doing a good job of taking care of the people that come in, and we're managing our patient loads here right now. Sometimes it's day to day, sometimes it's hour to hour, but the reality is that right now it's not getting better.
Can't believe we still had that. Now,
wow.
I don't know what it's like in other countries, but the United States has a huge contingent of people who still think that this is fake, that COVID is fake, that it's no worse than the flu, it's over-reported. Meanwhile, you have hospitals that are at capacity, that are setting up, these makeshift hospitals around their facilities in order to be able to put all the overflow patients. Some of the hospitals don't know what they're going to do, so I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but here in the US we have a lot of these people, and I've argued with quite a few of them on Facebook and on YouTube. The first one, the first image, Dick, could you bring that one up?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I do have. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. So this is a guy who actually was a former Facebook friend. And as you can see, the underlined line right there. And yes, my rights are more important than other people's lives. He's specifically talking about his right to not wear a mask because he does not want to. And that's literally what he says, too, is because I don't want to and I just don't have to. And he even tried to use the 14th Amendment that the wants of the majority should never override the rights of the minority. And he says, well, I'm the minority in this case because I don't want to wear a mask, so you can't tell me what to do.
Fuck my life.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think
Wow.
Tony's looking to jump in.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I had a few points to make. I saw the interview with that young lady, and was deep. It's very powerful stuff. And she touches it. One of the things that sort of becomes transparent about it is the importance of managing the workload of health professionals. Yep. And this is the problem of if you take the handbrake off the disease, is that your capacity to administer healthcare is obviously limited by the flow of resources, the amount of personnel you have, the amount of infrastructure you have. So if you overwhelm that, you're just going to have more people dying because they can't, they simply can't access the normal services. But then the services are going to actually break because healthcarers are going to have breakdowns. They're not going to be able to operate normally. They're going to be overworked, they're going to be emotionally traumatized, and eventually they're going to break down. And it, it just seems like a lot of people are saying, well, this is, wearing masks or social distancing will only slow this down. Well, yes, but that's important. It's important because it will keep things manageable. The other point that I would like to make is that a society can only exist by compromising everybody's rights. My right to kick people in the nuts, as much as I want to, is limited by other people's rights not to be kicked in the nuts. My right to life, liberty, and happiness. You'll notice that the first of those is life. Your happiness doesn't trump my life. As we used to say in school, get a fat rat up you libertarian asshole.
Yes. We'll get to that point in a minute. Go ahead, Colin.
No, I tried not to actually watch what was going on the screen. So listening to her voice as she's talking about that. And in a way, I'm going along with Tony on this because she sounded caring, worried, concerned about her patients. And I've got a feeling this is like a lot of these Covidiot videos. They take people so far out of context to fit their narrative. It's annoying as hell, right? She's a caring individual. Yeah. And that's what I take from that video.
Yeah, this isn't this is not a anti-COVID video either. This is a YouTube news channel called Now This News. And they just happened to do this because she was on CNN recently too.
She was on. I saw her on MSNBC. She did it. So, I was not looking at the screen either. But every time I looked up, they were just relaying what she was saying and sort of backing her up. So I didn't get the feeling that the people who put the video together were anti-COVID at all. Yeah. But clearly, this is the type of video around which this debate is going to coalesce, as Mike has discovered.
Yeah, and that was the whole point about flattening the curve. I mean, there's a lot of these Covidiots would say, well, it was supposed to be just 2 weeks and the curve would be flat. No, the whole point of when you flatten a curve, first of all, it flattens and it draws out the time frame. And the whole point of getting those peaks down is that we don't overwhelm the healthcare system. And okay. Was that a blender or a vacuum?
Vacuum by the sound of it.
Yeah. So, Dick, if you could bring up the number 2, This is the same guy about the rights. Image number 2. He actually says the Constitution doesn't guarantee you the right to live. It says that you can't be deprived of life. I said, isn't that the same fucking thing?
Good God, really?
Yeah, really. And this is the kind of stuff that we're running into, and all of these Covidiots now they've figured, the curve that it dropped. We had a good summer. Everything's all better now, so we don't have to follow any of these mandates, and that's where we are right now. That's why we are spiking to beat the band. They said, well, if masks work, why should I have to wear one if you're wearing one? Well, you just don't fucking get it, do you? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, it's exactly the other way around, jerk.
Yeah. So, so all these guys it's all come home to roost now, because it is where the medical system, the healthcare system's in free fall, because they just can't keep up with the load. I don't know what we're going to wind up doing about that.
One of the things I heard today, because I follow a fair bit of news, was even Biden at the moment has turned around and said that he's concerned that possibly up to another 250,000 Americans will probably die due to COVID until they actually get things sorted out. Who have got on top of all of this,
and just even up to today with everything we see in the news. I had a guy yesterday, I think it was, it was a couple days ago, actually told me flat out his COVID is fiction. Those were his exact words.
Oh fuck.
So, and I don't know how that you can possibly go down that route. That would mean that the scope would rival any conspiracy theory that any flat earther has ever come up with, because there'd have to be collusion from all the countries on the planet, the worldwide healthcare system, every hospital, every state in the United States, provinces or states, however it works in other countries, would all have to be in on it in order for this to work as something that's fake. And it really doesn't. I don't know how anybody could possibly believe that something on that scope, that scale, could exist.
Yeah.
Where is it? And I had a guy tell me, I think it's, which one do I want there? Yeah, number 5.
5? Okay, one sec here.
Yeah. See, now this guy, and this is another common, very, very common thing. Sarcastic, you have your hand up, Barman.
Yeah, it was just following on the Covidiots are stupid and stuff like that. One absolute nut job posted one on sharing a story on Twitter the other day, and then going on about this ex-health worker who worked for 111, which is like a phone service here in the UK to get non-emergency health advice. She's saying, oh, look, all the A&E wards are empty and the people aren't there. So I quite happily put as the Twitter reply, like, why would you stick a COVID patient, firstly, in A&E? That's not the place for them. They go to an ICU ward, so we have wards to deal with this. Mm-hmm. And everyone's on lockdown, so no one's doing much. So, of course, A&E is going to be quiet. The reply I got was brilliant. It was just, oh, bore off. It's like, I've made a valid point, and that's all you've got. Fuck's sake.
Well, yeah, that's always the response, though, when you push them, because usually when I'm discussing with these guys, I have at hand the source and citations for everything I put in the chat in the discussion, just in case I need to show them. Mm-hmm. And you start pressing them on stuff like that, and they cave like a wet paper bag. And this is another one that I hear, and even still hear now, and I can't understand why. A lot of people in America think that this is manufactured for the purposes of getting Trump out of office, and after the election, it's going to go away. And that's literally what this guy's talking about. I said, are you seriously implying that the rising cases and deaths is all being faked as a diversion from the elections? And if we can scroll up a bit,
I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be.
Oh yeah,
another one.
No, this particular one, but the comment after me. I don't want to say his name, so I blocked out the people's names.
Yeah, I think I'm in the right spot.
Yeah. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, because he says if the shoe fits, wear it. Take a look around, because and this is common too. And I don't know how you can look around the world and see everything that's going on and think that this is all fake just for the U.S. elections. That's the other thing. Is it doesn't even make any logical sense. That's that whole arrogance that Americans have about everything is about us. So a lot of these guys, of course, they're all Trumpers too. So, take that for what it is.
Well, we had our fair share of mess about on numbers to start with, but it's actually trying to fathom out what those numbers actually meant in the beginning. So it all has come out in the wash. So these guys are just harping back to days gone by that don't really matter anymore. Take the real science to where it is now.
Actually, slide 6, if you get a chance, Dick, please.
Okay.
And most of these guys twist the numbers too, and they'll take what suits them. And the problem is this thing that I'm going to show. This is from Fox News, and by the way, was also been retweeted and shown a bunch of times by Governor DeSantis in Florida and by I can't remember her name. It's some state representative in Minnesota and other Republican politicians. That this is the COVID survival rate, and it's not. I mean, those numbers are not what anybody thinks that they are. Those are just numbers. So if you look at those, let's notice the 99.997 there. Because if you bring up number 7, the next one, these numbers actually come from and you can't really blame a lot of these Covidiots for believing these are the real numbers, because they have actual politicians and they have Fox News and right-wing news sites pushing these numbers as the actual survival rates. But in this comment I made to somebody, they're not. Those are they even tell you these parameters are estimates intended to support public health and preparedness. They're not predictions of the expected effects of COVID-19. Those actual numbers come out of Table 5 of the CDC Planning Scenarios webpage. And those numbers are designed to go into mathematical modeling software for epidemiologists to be able to model their epidemics. And it tells you right above the table where those numbers come from. These are not predictions or estimates of the expected impact of COVID. Yet these are the numbers that all these Covidiots push because we have people who are in power pushing them. Why wouldn't you believe the governor of Florida? Why wouldn't you believe President Trump when he tells you this? Kevin?
Well, what I can't stand about statistics, I wish news sites would not use statistics because they can be so easily skewed. Because let's say, for instance, just kind of to entertain the idea, let's say that the survival rate for COVID is 99%. Well, the U.S. has a population of 320 million. So 1% is 3 million people you're willing to let die.
Yes.
Think of it this way. There's a bowl on the table that has 100 jelly beans on it. One of those jelly beans will kill you. Are you going to eat one?
No.
That's all there is to it.
It is all there is to it. Exactly.
We have a late addition to the panel as well. I'd like to welcome Bob the Science Guy. How are you today, sir?
Not too bad, gentlemen and ladies. How's everything going tonight?
We're talking about some Covidiots.
Yep. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
I had a feeling he'd be a good guy for this panel for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Had to spend some time with the family tonight. Sorry I'm late.
Yeah.
No worries. Cool. Glad to have you. Should I get to the next slide, Mike, or what are we doing here?
Yeah. Actually, let's see. Yeah, number 9, because this is one that it's good that Bob the Science Guy's here, because this is his forte. You know, a lot of guys, a lot of these Covidiots, they talk about how, if you're young, you're not going to die. No, it's only old people that die, as if, old people don't matter. And it's a low percentage, so why worry about it? The survival rate's so high. It's 90, whatever it is, 98. Some of them say 99, 99.7. It depends on who you talk to. They make shit up as they go along. But there is a whole lot more here than just surviving. About 10% of people who are infected wind up being what they call long haulers. These are people that are young. They have an average age of about 40. They had no pre-existing conditions in most cases, but they're in and out of the hospital for months. Some of them have been going on in and out of the hospital since May and June, and they're still debilitating fatigue, breathing issues. About somewhere along the lines of 10 to 28% in a new study I just read from Medscape. They're showing elevated markers for as if you had a heart attack. Bob, he could probably talk to this better than I can, but and so they're off investigating that, huh? Oh, Barman, your hand is up.
Yeah, it's a cardiac enzyme.
Yeah, Barman. You have something? Barman did have his hand up.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. I forgot to unmute. To say about the underlying health and stuff like that, they reckon there's about 8 million people in the UK who have underlying health conditions, whereas they caught COVID, it could make it extra serious for them.
Yes.
The only problem is, because that's an estimate, we don't know exactly who, so...
There
straight away, if it's spread mentally, you add 8 million to the total deaths for us.
Yeah, and there are people who don't know that they have high blood pressure or that are pre-diabetic, or and an interesting fact from SARS-CoV-1. This is from back in 2003 or so.
It was something like that.
Yeah. They followed a bunch of these people for 15 years later. And so in 2018, almost 5% of them still had visible lesions on their lungs. 38% of them still had reduced diffusion capacity. That's from the article I read. I think that has to do with oxygen exchange or something. Either Linda or Dr. Bob could shed more light on that, I think. And then you have children with multi-system inflammatory syndrome, and the average age on those kids is 8. And COVID is causing organ damage, in some cases to the point of needing transplants, and that's across all ages. And the latest WHO study I read said that there's about 30 to 35% of those that are infected have long-term symptoms. And of course, their study also considered long-term to be several weeks. I'm not sure how they fit that criteria, but 10 to 20% of those goes on beyond that. So you have to figure, if only 25% of the current number of people infected in the United States, the current case rate, that is, if only 25% of them wound up with these long-term symptoms, that's millions of people. They never think about this. They don't want to talk about this stuff. And I was wondering, Bob, if you have any information to add on that kind of stuff.
Well, I just put something in the notes there. The diffusion capacity is the ability of oxygen to go from the alveolar sacs in the lungs through the alveolar membrane into the blood, so to be absorbed. So if you damage the alveolar membrane, it's much harder for that oxygen to get through it, and you have a decreased diffusion capacity.
Yeah,
but
so
I do want to.
Go ahead.
I want to point one thing out about mask use and COVID and everything, because the title of this is basically looking at COVID as an assault on freedom of some sort.
Yeah.
All right. In my area, it is a public health order that you shall wear a mask in public. It is not subject to your approval. It's the law. So the debate on it is immaterial. Wear your mask.
And there's a lot of people who will say that's unconstitutional, and that is patently wrong. Jacob,
they're welcome to say it is unconstitutional. Yeah. And when you disagree with something and think it's unconstitutional, the mechanism is you don't do it.
Right, exactly.
You take it to court and make your case.
And it has been taken to court. Jacobson versus the state of Massachusetts. There's a smallpox outbreak in Boston around 1903. And the state of Massachusetts had passed a law for mandatory vaccinations for smallpox. I didn't know they had smallpox vaccinations back then, but I guess that actually goes back to like the 1890s. And
Jenner in the 1790s.
Oh, 1790s. Okay. So it was challenged, and it went to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the U.S. Supreme Court said it did not violate the 14th Amendment. It was not excessive or arbitrary, and that it is reasonable for states to enact laws and mandates to protect the public health in times of public health crisis. So any of you yahoos out there who say it's unconstitutional, you're wrong. As a matter of fact, the state of Texas just cited that case over the summer for some in challenges to its COVID mandates. So it's been used in COVID. And actually, that case has been cited many, many times over the years for a lot of stuff, including civil rights cases and police powers cases, that kind of stuff.
I think Tony was trying to get in with something. Tony?
Yes, I was. The reality is that we're not really going to know the mortality rate due to COVID for some years. There's evidence that it has damages the circulatory system and that it has adverse impacts on the renal system. And even if people don't die in the 2-week initial infection, there's a chance that this will adversely impact their survival chances in the long term. So the reality is that, as Kennedy was saying, the interpretation of the statistics here needs some sort of, sort of statistical literacy. We're working on the data we have. Going forward, we'll be better able to interpret the data. But just because the data is, a lot of people like to point the finger that, well, the scientists got it wrong early on. The scientists were working with the best information they had. That's their job. As the information they have increases, they do a better job of working out what's happening. It's not an excuse to not listen to scientists anymore.
Yeah.
Have you discussed the imperial model?
No, we haven't actually discussed any modeling per se yet.
Well, it's your chicken. You cook it. Let me know when you want me to jump.
Oh no! If you want to talk, go ahead. I'm open to hearing that.
Well, in this same light, the
before you do,
model,
I think Linda was trying to get in before as well after Tony.
Oh, yep.
Ladies first.
Okay. Well, this was just going back to comorbidities. One of the comorbidities is obesity. And I know in other countries it's not as big of a thing, but in the United States, that's a huge portion of our population. So a huge portion of our population has one comorbidity all by itself.
Mm-hmm. There's people who don't
even
know
know
it. Yeah.
they don't realize that obesity is a comorbidity all by itself.
And there's people who don't know that they have high blood pressure. There's people that don't know they have, they're pre-diabetic or, yeah. So there's a lot of people who don't know that they have one of these pre-existing conditions and think,
yeah, millions of people.
Yeah.
Millions of people.
Well, the two things that I wanted to point out is early on in the pandemic, they had the imperial model from the United Kingdom that predicted for the United States, I think it was 2.5 million deaths.
Yeah.
And, they like to make a big deal out of, well, that's not the case. They failed to actually look at the study itself. The model was based on no action taken would result in 2.5 million deaths. And then it made specific recommendations for actions. And those recommendations were based on our experience going all the way back to the Spanish influenza. Mm-hmm. And I do want to point out one thing. In 1918, in the United States, the average lifespan dropped 12 years for both men and women. So it wasn't related to the war. It wasn't related to complications of childbirth. It was down it was down from 1917 and recovered by 1921. So this is serious stuff, and the closest thing that we have to it is the Spanish flu, which killed 675,000 Americans and between 20 and 50 million people worldwide.
And a lot of these Covidiots, they're lucky because in 1918, the prevalent the age range with the highest death rate was like 28 to 40. So, which was very odd as far as pandemics go. But yeah, if that were going on now, I wonder what a lot of these idiots would be talking about, whether they'd be hiding, wearing their masks and social distancing like they're supposed to be doing.
Well, the purpose of public health rules, and public health developed as a science in the Spanish influenza. Prior to that, it was to keep the unwashed masses from infecting the elites.
Yeah.
And public health evolved in that you have to take care of everyone. At least here in the United States, there was a big there was a paradigm shift in the approach to public health.
Yeah.
But the problem that you run into is the reason that we have public health laws is some people need to be told that they have to wash their hands after using the bathroom before they prepare your food in a restaurant. All right. And they have to have teeth behind those regulations. You can lose your business license. You can lose your liquor license. We've got one restaurant that is saying they just can't make it on carryout, so they're going to open because that's what's best for them and their employees. Fine, $1,000 a day fine. Every day you're open, they just walk in the front door. If there are people sitting down, $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
what?
And I'm at the point right now watching people. I have a county over here that, shall we say, is 70% supporters of a certain individual that is denying the existence of this. And I'm at the point right now that, quite frankly, if I see you without a mask, I just wish that I had a way to give you a $500 fine right on the spot. And if you're standing within 6 feet of me, I will stop, turn around, and tell you to back the hell off.
Yeah.
Or I'll view you as a threat.
Tony, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just reminded of a notice I saw in a restaurant window where they explained to their to their customers that they don't like infringing the civil liberties of their servers. And some servers don't like washing their hands, so they don't require them to. And if you don't want to wear a mask inside, we're sure you'll quite understand our policy on this. It was quite a, it was sort of a masterpiece of satire.
Well, what I tend to do is if I see somebody saying, well, we're proudly going to have our servers, our dine-in service open, fine. What other public health regulations are you overlooking as well? What's the temperature of your chicken? Do you use hand washing?
Yeah.
Do you sanitize your surfaces every night? What else do you feel is not necessary because it's not in your best interest?
Yeah, here in Connecticut, they our governor implemented a $10,000 fine for restaurants and bars because we've had several that they've had to close down for having parties that were above capacity. Well, they were just crowded and nobody was wearing, well, maybe a couple people were wearing masks, but most people weren't. And so ours gone up to $10,000 now. And they take your liquor license away.
Something that they do nowadays that drives the Sav citizens insane, but could be used to our advantage here is civil asset forfeiture. Take the cars of the people that are in the parking lot. They're deriving funds from a criminal act because violating a public health order is a crime in this state.
And I mean, the reality is that we're just trying, sort of, again, this is humans are social animals, and actions that harm social structure, are bad. One of the things that actually promotes social structure is us looking after everybody's health. It's actually cheaper in the long run. There's a lot of false economy in health arguments about it's not worthwhile giving people free health treatment. Well, actually, it can save you money in the long run because you stop their conditions when they're trivial rather than let them become serious. And just like and that's exactly what we're trying to do with these preventative measures, with masks, social distancing, limits on premises, is we're trying to limit the harm that our society experiences. And I just don't understand. Well, I can't wrap my head around the mindset that thinks that that's just optional, that I'm a member of society, but screw everybody else who's a part of it. Doesn't make sense to me. You guys can talk at any time.
Yeah, did we lose audio there?
Oh, wait, sorry, I was muted. I was trying to say, yeah, if you, it's like that first slide we had. It was the guy said that his right not to wear a mask was more important than other people's lives. He literally said that. And I got asked, I mean, does any in the UK or Canada, do you have people that fucking stupid? Because that's like a height of stupidity as far as COVID goes.
Dick, what did we end up hearing out about 24 hours too late?
Yeah, we had literally just like 4 blocks from us, we had an anti-mask rally, and we found out through the local news the next afternoon, and it killed me because we could have been there filming and talking about it and stuff. It would have been awesome.
Yeah, Dick, could you go ahead?
We've had a few protests in the UK, a couple of big ones in London where it's all, oh, the masks are wrong, the lockdown's illegal, blah-de-blah-de-blah, I'm stupid, I'm a nurse. Well, I'm an ex-nurse and I've not practiced nursing like 30 years, but yeah, I was a nurse. No, you fucking weren't.
Man, I thought you were going to say, I'm stupid, I'm a nerd. You fucking nerds.
One English Covidiot sitting on a park bench in violation of the order, and she was actually approached by a couple of police officers and said, well, I have a legal right to be here because I'm exercising. I'm exercising my mind.
I remember seeing that video.
Yeah.
I'm exercising my mind.
Sitting on a park bench.
The police's main response to it, if I remember it's the same video, was they'd been there 2 hours earlier and said, what are you doing? He said, oh, I'm sitting here, I'm having my fresh air and next time that's fine. And it's only when they came back 2 hours later and said she was still there, they said, look, you need to go now. It's like, no. You really do. You've been out here 2 hours. I think you should go back inside. But I'm going to do my shopping next. Well, go and do your fucking shopping then. Stop sitting on the bench. And all she had to do was probably get up, walk 10 foot away. The police would have left her in. If she really wanted, she could have sat back on that bench. But she argued and she got arrested. It was awesome.
And they were English cops, which meant that they were like extraordinarily polite to her. American cops would have fired 3 warning shots into her head and told her to go home.
They gave us so many chances just to fuck off. It was ridiculous.
You had that guy in London, Piers Corbyn, I think his name is.
Jeremy Corbyn's brother. He's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, he had that anti-lockdown protest in London during the lockdown, and then got annoyed when they arrested him. Took him off, and he actually wanted to contest it in court, and he lost. So that's good.
Well, all he needed to do was tell them that his cell phone he was transporting cargo for his business because he was carrying his cell phone. It works every time.
So,
and then take it to the EU if they don't get the result they want. Well, guys, I added my 3 cents.
Have people noticed that? I just want to mention, because one of your old friends is intimately associated with this. Anthony Riley's channel is full of the legal problems as he sees it with the whole COVID scenario. He's very, very exercised about it. So that's always good to know.
Good. Maybe that will have a strain on his heart.
As long as it's as good a quality.
One can only hope.
As long as it's as good as quality as his thesis was.
Yeah. Hey, did you guys have anything specific for me? I'm going to go hang out with the family a little bit longer. I wanted to come in and just kind of toss my 2 cents in. Did you have any medical issues?
Oh, no. I just, I was hoping that you could add some actual medical background to some of the long-term stuff. And you did, so that's good.
Yeah. Wear your mask. It's not only the law, it's demonstrated to help. COVID is not just the infection. There are long-term problems with it. And the problem that you run into with COVID is you tend to fly a vent for an inordinate amount of time and end up getting tricked. So, you may survive this thing. You may be completely asymptomatic, and you're going to go kill my mother, who's 86. All right. Yeah. I'm going to be pissed if you do that.
Not
nice,
cool.
Kind of like
a nice quick question.
I want to keep her around for a while. And, the other thing is, every time I see somebody wearing a mask, I just look at them as somebody that doesn't give a damn about anybody other than themselves, that has the maturity of a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And I have no problem talking to them that way. And I will tell them, look, I'm a physician. Get your ass back in the car, get your mask, or get out of here. Get away from me. And they will not come into my office. They will not come into my home without one.
Yeah.
Barman had something there.
People in my pub with that one. I was just going to ask Bob, just so we got a doctor to say it. Bob, does wearing a mask lower your blood oxygen level or make it hard for you to breathe?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. That's
thank you.
Can I actually? Sorry.
Do you want me to tell you why?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say that I did a mathematical analysis on that, and no, but you go ahead.
Using the anatomic dead space.
I brought that into the analysis, but I didn't actually use it. Just used the basic volumes, partial pressures.
Well, in any event, the bottom line is that you have a certain amount of air that goes in and out of you with every breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not all of that air is exchanged. Some of it's sitting in your mouth. Some of it is sitting in your nostrils. And it's in what we call the anatomic dead space. It's not the active exchange part of your breathing. You may breathe in and out, say half a liter of air. Only 350 cc's of that actually makes it to the part of your lungs that have the exchange. The rest of it's just this dead space that's sitting there. If you add 50 cc's to that, or 25 cc's with a mask, it's not changing it at all. It's not changing the oxygen and the carbon dioxide saturation of the air in your mouth. It's held a little closer. And you still blow it out, and you still breathe it in. You do have exchange. And Wolfie actually did it for a protracted period of time and monitored his PA or his O2 sat. And one physician actually ran a marathon wearing a surgical mask to demonstrate that it doesn't make any difference at all. So that's just silliness. And then these people will turn right around and get on a ghillie suit with a face mask and a net to go turkey hunting or to ride snowmobiles.
Yeah.
Or wear a face mask that'll keep their...
Len?
I wear 2 masks. I wear an N95 mask, and then I wear a surgical mask over the N95 mask. And I am aware that the surgical mask isn't doing anything to prevent COVID. However, it is keeping the surface of the N95 mask from getting any COVID onto it. So it keeps the outside of the N95 masks clean, I guess you could say. And so I just change the outside mask when I go into different patients, when we go see different patients. So we're not having to change an N95 mask every time we go in and see people. And yeah, I've been wearing a shield, have been tested probably at least a half a dozen times.
Yeah, more than that.
No, I don't know. We're at a point right now, we do have COVID in the facility I work in, and I have been working with those patients, and I just take the same precautions I do when I work with anybody else who has an airborne droplet precautions person.
Yeah, that's the other thing that always gets me. Aimee, you had your hand up first?
Yes, please, if I could. I was just gonna say, my son had worn his mask for about 3 hours approximately, because before I took him to the doctors, and he wore his, and they tested his blood oxygen level, and it was at 100%. So that was one experiment we tried, and it worked. And like I said, 100% oxygen levels, he was good. So that's after 3 hours of wearing a mask. So.
And then Mike Burleson, are they best friends together?
Yep, they are.
For 37 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
For longer than that.
Well, yeah, we've been married for 37 years.
That's cool.
1997?
83.
Oh.
83.
1993? 80.
Oh, Kevin's got something here.
Your math project.
Well, just in regards to anti-maskers, what's been driving me crazy lately is every single time I hear one of them say, I have a medical condition, I wish to God I was on the scene, because I just want to say, no, you don't. You are lying. Like, yes. I don't care if you're offended by that. I don't care if it's rude. You're lying. You don't have a medical condition. Exactly. Because everybody who has a medical condition doesn't use it to make a scene.
Nope.
That's right.
I have to ask, what medical condition do they think stops them from wearing a mask? Because my wife has bad asthma. She still goes out wearing a fucking mask. She's like, yeah, I hate it, but I'll fucking wear it.
The last video I saw where someone made that claim, the cashier said, well, I have a 95-year-old woman who comes in here every day with an oxygen tank. She wears a mask.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. Yeah, when I got out of the Navy, I worked in radiological controls for this company called Bartlett Nuclear, and there were days we worked in whatever nuke plant was shut down for refueling. There were days where I spent the 8-hour shift in a full face HEPA filtered respirator. And I know guys, the worker bees, the actual the tradesmen, they were, they spend times even longer than that, and also in full anti-contamination clothing wrapped in plastic. And yet somebody doesn't want to wear a blue surgical mask for a couple hours when they go shopping because they're going to die. It doesn't. It's the most illogical thing I've ever heard.
And the only thing I don't like from wearing a mask is my face gets warm. But then I could probably have a shave, and that would probably fix that. But I'm lazy and fat.
Yeah, I do get warm under the N95 mask. I have had a few patients that felt like they couldn't breathe with a mask on, who have severe respiratory issues, and what we do is we just put a shield on them if they're leaving their room, or they just have to stay in their room. But they at least have something. You know, if you can't wear a mask, then wear a shield. It's still covered.
Yeah, why? I mean, I can understand that some people, there is certain little issues and stuff and blah, blah, but there's always a way to work so that everybody's in a safe and fair environment for all.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, and accommodation has to be the biggest part of that. Like, because all of those people who say, "Oh, I have a medical condition," they'll cite the Americans with Disabilities Act, and just ignore the fact that the Americans with Disabilities Act says, if you have a disability, we will accommodate you otherwise. And I even saw one woman say, "Well, no, I need to go into the store because there's private things I need to buy." Excuse me, ma'am, it's all on the shelves. None of it is private. And, and then when you get to the register, someone has to scan it.
I've seen a couple like that, and they go up to the store and say, "We'll do the shopping for you." It's like, no, well, fuck you.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I had one person tell me that she actually said, what was it she actually said? Because we were talking about testing, and she's like, "We're testing too much," and it seemed like she was talking about deaths, and she said to someone, "No, do your research and check the numbers. Yes, there are more deaths because everyone is getting tested." I was like, wow, that's like flurf level stupid there.
Yeah.
I've seen that argument made a load of times. Like, oh, if you turn off the telly, no one would know there was a pandemic going around. Yeah, apart from all the dead people. So how do you know they had it? Because they've been tested. So if we stopped testing everyone, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You're right. There'd just be still a load of dead people. Fuck my life.
or we have so many people that are positive because we're doing more tests.
Because that makes sense.
That logic always gets me. It's like, really? Because those people that are positive wouldn't be positive whether they were tested or not.
The difference
positive because they got tested.
Yeah, I think the only difference that the testing makes for me is because we're doing a lot more tests now. Is the second wave as bad as the first wave for cases? Because obviously we didn't have as many tests. So our main point of reference of how many people had it was the hospital admissions and people self-isolating and admitting, "Oh, I think I've got it. Yeah, come for a test." Whereas now you've got to drive through test centers and things like that. Yeah, you can get your results. But then we can look at the other side of that, which is how many people died once again.
Yeah, well, I know in Connecticut we had progressively ramped up testing, and I think by June we were testing huge numbers, no less than we're testing right now. I don't think they were doing thousands and thousands a day. One of the reasons they do all this testing too is really you need to know where in your state or your province or wherever it is you're living that you're having these clusters where people live, because you have to figure out how to allocate resources somehow, and testing is how you do it. And if you're not doing enough testing, if you're having high positivity rates, like I think I read it was I'm not sure about this, over 10%, then you're not testing enough people, and you're not really figuring out where to allocate your resources to try to better protect the public health. So testing is how they figure out how to do that. It isn't just to see, let's see how many people are positive. So what? Now there's actual logistics reasons for doing it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. and it doesn't seem to be helping because people aren't wearing masks.
Nope.
There's
we've got a thing going on around my parts where smaller towns, isolated a little bit area, and as masks became a requirement, people just thought, oh, well, who gives a shit about 6 feet of distance then? And you're constantly just telling people to back away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I get it in the pub a lot. So most of the locals have been all right. They do get they look at me quite silly when there's only might be the locals in on the evening when they could come in and just drink. Fucking sake. When they used to come in and they'd walk in the pub and the table they have the same table every fucking time. And it's 4 foot away from the door. And as they're walking in, I'm saying to, because they're walking in mask, like not on. So have you got your masks? Yes, right. There's only you. Go to your table. So they go to the table and they go to get up and they've like left their bag next to the table. You got your mask on you? It's like, yeah. So we got to put it on towards the door. No, but if anyone else comes in, because you're one group, I'll let you off with it. You've been in work together all day. You live together. It's fine. But if someone comes in, you need that mask. And if you see anyone else, you put that mask on. Don't be fucking about. And one of them came, so, I've left my mask at home. So go and get it. What, you're going to send me home to get my mask? Yeah. But what if I don't have to wear it? It doesn't matter. You've got to fucking have it. I should be making you wear it to walk that 4 foot, but I've got a little bit of common sense. But I'll put mine on to go and actually talk to them. So,
Ooh. You know what a great comparison for that is, actually? Anyone who's ever worked a construction job and, you forgot to bring your hard hat? Go home and get it. Well, I don't need it. There's no one on the roof today. It doesn't matter. If the inspector shows up, we get fined. Go and get your hard hat. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what's worse, Kev? They all work at builders merchants where they have to wear fluorescent yellow jackets, the masks all the time, all the stuff like that anyway. So they have to have PPE.
I wonder, Tony, in academia circles, is there? I bet there's no issues, is there?
No, absolutely not. Not that I'm aware of, anyway. Our university has actually gone to an enormous amount of trouble to sort of be steps ahead of where the government is. So they went into lockdown early. We still have to sign in every day. We still have contact tracing when we on who we talk to at work. There are still limits on how many people can be in particular rooms, and everybody just goes, okay. We understand, because the university, I think, universities are trying to make money by having students, and so we want to make sure that the students are in the safest possible environment. So inconveniencing the staff, not an issue. They're more than happy to do that if it keeps the students safe. That's the ultimate priority, and the staff safe as well, incidentally.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
Is that me?
Is that what I think it was?
No.
I can't make it shut up. I don't understand why it's doing that.
Might be voice meter had an update. On our side of academia over here, because some people know that I also teach in a way. We have set standard plans, and we're still having students into our place, but they are on strict rules. Face masks when moving around. No separated seating. Proper barriers between desks have actually been put in to stop any kind of spread inside the classrooms. It's total safety put in place to protect people. So we're doing it. And these idiots outside are not, and it's just so annoying.
Yeah, and I think was it the mayor of Boston for Thanksgiving? A lot of kids, because there's I don't know how many colleges in Boston. There's a lot. He said that if you go home, if any of the kids go home for Thanksgiving, he doesn't want them to come back. He says you can work remotely. Because I don't know if I don't know if that's enforceable, but that's what he was saying.
So
I'm actually working from home most of the time as well.
The guy in the office next to mine is my PhD supervisor. He's in his 80s, one of the most celebrated and awarded earth scientists of all time. I live in dread that I'm going to be the vector that brings COVID in. So I take every precaution possible to just to make sure that he's safe. He doesn't come into work that often, but just have some regard for the people around you. It just seems so easy, but obviously some people are having difficulties with it.
That is the thing. It's not particularly a big hassle to put a bit of papery, clothy stuff on your face, really, is it? It's for fuck's sake.
No, and Felix was off with his mom and his grandma for a little bit, and he's back home proper now. And when he got back, I found out that he had not had to wear a mask once because everything was being done so that he didn't have to deal with that. So within 4 hours of him being home with me proper again, he was wearing a mask and we were at the store doing our distancing and everything. Why skirt around and avoid it? Get in there and get it done so that you can actually exist safely instead of just hiding completely.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is when I argue with these guys, they say, well, okay, yeah, you just sit at home and you hide and you be afraid. I'm not going to do that. So what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, we especially during the summer when everything was low, we were going out to dinner, we were shopping. We even went to a couple of concerts at a local single A ball stadium, and they actually set it up so that there were a certain number of rows that were empty so that you had more than 6 feet around you. So, and there are ways to do this. You don't have to be afraid and hide. You can still do what you need to do. You can still live some sort of life here and just wear a mask. There's a really good YouTube channel out there. It's one of my favorite science channels. It's called 1 Minute Physics. And he's got some really, really good stuff on relativity and with visual aids. It's good. But he's also got this one video on masks and how statistically they actually do more than people think they do, even if they aren't very efficient at reducing the spread. Even if it's only about 50% efficient, if everybody is wearing them, it statistically decreases the probability of spread by a lot. And they actually have a link to a web page that allows you to make adjustments. You can adjust, raise and lower the effectivity, how effective the mask is, and how many people, whether it's nobody's wearing them, or one person in a pair is wearing them, or both are wearing them, and it's it goes to show you that even if the mask isn't very efficient, you're still, if everybody's wearing them, we would still be greatly reducing the number of cases and reducing the spread so that we don't overwhelm the healthcare system. It doesn't even have to be an N95, And they said, it could be a well-fitted homemade cloth mask or a poorly worn N95 mask. It's still going to reduce the spread.
Yeah. For people overwhelming the health systems and things like that, during the first lockdown for the UK, there was a lot of people from the England side of the Welsh border, North Wales, who they own second holiday homes and things. So they decided, right, we're going to go over to our second holiday homes and we'll go to our caravans and things like that. And then people saying, no, please don't. No, why not? You got Bangor Hospital, you got this hospital. There's loads. Yeah, but there's 17 ICU beds to cover all of North Wales. This is hundreds of thousands of people, and there's 17 fucking beds. So they've obviously set up emergency wards and things like that. But this was something they were trying to get through to people, is with them not equipped in North Wales to handle an extra, say, 50,000 people coming in who are going to increase spread and things like that, because it's an area that doesn't really suffer from it. Everyone's so spread out anyway. But those extra people are then going to put the pressure on, and 17 beds is not a fucking lot.
Okay, let's see.
What's his name here? Oh, yeah, Field Jesus is new has showed up, and he's not like an anti-vaxxer, anti-masker freak, so we won't get that side of him today. So that's cool.
Wow.
Hi, Field Jesus and you. How you doing and all that?
You're also not a flat earther, but that's an issue for another day.
That's a funny one.
I still want to know which Bible he reads.
It's the one I wrote.
Whichever one's most convenient that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Dick, the one that you wrote, is that the same one where the Israelites are having a battle backed by God against somebody else, but this other lot, they sacrifice the king's firstborn son, and then their God joins the fight and beats the Israelites' God? That's in the Bible. Yeah, feel Jesus in you.
It's something like that, but you missed the aliens and the Anunnaki. Oh, no, wait a minute. That was Daniken. I didn't write that one.
Charity to the gods.
I'll say hello to SpeakTruth, SeekTruth in the chat, though. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Yes, cool guy for sure. We have to get him back on again. Covidiots. So I had a confrontation with somebody just recently in the grocery store. They walked in the grocery store just in front of me, had a mask on, and then in the store had it off. And so I said, no, step way clear of me. You're like, right now, we've got bylaw in place, mask in public places. I said, you just step back. You're not coming anywhere close to me. Oh, I'm exempt. I said, bullshit you are, lady. You walked in with one. There's no way you're playing that fucking game with me now. Back off. And by then, 4 or 5 people are going, yeah, you know, what the hell you think you're doing? And it ended fast. People are not impressed. Kevin.
No.
I had a similar experience. It's actually when I first got here, a couple months ago. And one of the first times I walked into a store, pardon me, I had my mask kind of down, like on my chin. And when I walked into the store, I realized I hadn't put it up. So I actually took a step back out of the store, put it up, and then came back in. And the woman said, "Oh, that would have been okay if you'd forgot your mask or something. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal." And I was like, "Oh well, I'll wear it. It's fine." And she started explaining about how she had a medical exemption that she'd printed off and blah blah blah, and nobody actually needs to wear these masks. And I just shut my mouth and went through my purchase, and all I could think was, "Thank God there is a layer of plastic between me and you right now." But you're working at the store. Can you at least follow its rules?
Yeah. Well, a couple of weeks ago, Uncalled For had a video where a woman didn't have a mask. What was the kid's name? Aiden? Was that it, Len?
Yeah, it was Aiden.
Yeah, he was awesome. He wouldn't let this woman in the store. She pulled that whole thing. I have a medical exemption. Then she called 911. And the interesting part was she didn't quite tell 911 it was she had a medical exemption. She had said something else.
She said she had a religious exemption.
Yeah.
She said she had a religious exemption, and Aiden goes, "I thought you had a medical exemption." She goes, "Well, I have a medical exemption too." And then she's telling the 911 operator, "I came to the store just before it closes. It's getting ready to close, so we need the police here now. He won't let me in. There's nobody in the store." And then he's like, "I'm here." And it's store policy, and I have to follow store policy. And she was just arguing with him, and it wound up. The police did show up, but she wound up leaving. She's like, if I walk away from the store, he's just going to lock the door because the store is closing, and But he was just so matter of fact and so right on top of what she was saying.
He wasn't going to let her in either.
No, he did not let her in. He did not let her cross the threshold.
Yeah, she did that little dance side to side at first, trying to see if she can sneak her way past him, but he wouldn't let her go. He's a kid too. He's like 17 or 18, I think, and she thought she was going to.
I know we didn't see him.
You kind of did. You could hear him, but she thought she was going to intimidate him, and she didn't. So that was good. Yeah, it's what I thought was amazing is that she talked about her medical exemption and the ADA, and then when she actually talked to the police, the story changed. So yeah, she knew she was supposed to. She was lying out her ass.
Well, when she was on with 911, she's telling the 911 operator that she had been on with 911 before about this, and every other 911 operator agreed with her that the stores were wrong and she was right. They're supposed to let her in without a mask because she has this medical exemption. And the kid was telling her, no, I'll go get what you want, but you're not coming in the store.
Yep.
I'll make an accommodation for you, but you're not coming in the store. And this 911 operator was right with the kid. She was like, yeah, I'll send the police, but they're not going to let you in. But that's just, the store's a private business. They can do what they want. Because again, it's, my rights. This is a public place. It's like, no, it's not. It's just like when people think Facebook is censoring them because they put something over what they posted saying that it's false.
Yeah.
It's like, first off, it's false. It's not censorship. Secondly, Facebook is a private company.
Yeah, some of these guys act as if YouTube and Facebook have to follow some, guidelines of free speech set out by all the governments of the world, which is non-existent, but it's stupid.
It is.
Yeah.
It is very stupid.
Well, they think it's censorship when they say, what you're saying is in dispute or what you're saying is false. It's fake information.
Yeah.
You're putting out information that is patently false, and we're done. We're not going to have it anymore. And they get mad because we can't say what we want to say. That's free speech. And it's like, no, it's not free speech. There's limitations to free speech. You can't just go out and say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
So
free speech is not teaching people bullshit. Free speech is saying, standing up and saying, so-and-so think the nation or blah, blah, or, things that can be, properly. But when you're literally putting people in danger through your so-called free speech, others have a right to say, shut the fuck up and don't teach that.
Exactly. Mipit's putting a link in the side chat, so to go by a couple times, that for the CDC planning scenarios website that all these Covidiots get their supposed survival rates from. So you guys should check that out in case you see some of these yahoos talking about, we have a 99.997% chance of not dying. Yeah, so what? You're wrong, and that's not what that says. It even tells you that that's not what it says. So I like to, whenever these guys, whenever I argue, they always come back with, they give you some article from some right-wing website, like, the One News Network or some bullshit like that. But I like to go to source documentation because all the stuff there are verifiable sources, like the excess deaths. Just because, you go to CDC's website, the guy says, well, that's what the government wants you to think. So, well, they don't make those numbers. They come from each state. Each state gives the federal government their death certificates for, that week. They get all that data sent directly to them. And then that's where that comes from. So you can actually go to each individual state and get the data directly. So you don't have to rely on the mass media that all these yahoos complain is lying to you. Well, there are ways to get. You don't need to go to any of that stuff. Every piece of data you could possibly think of, there's a source for that you can find. Yeah.
Well said, man. Well said. That's funny.
Yeah.
Backtard. We should see if Aimee and Matt are floating around anywhere out there.
Yes, please.
I can't see now.
Yes, you can.
God. Backtard for Canadian $2.79. R-rated.
Good job.
Backtard? More like retard.
No. We don't say that word.
Oh my god.
And people wonder why I have gray.
Yeah. Hey, that's like the N-word in Compton, folks. He can get away with it. Absolutely no problem. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So basically, we have a bunch of people out there who are, in my opinion, this is all about selfishness. That's all it is. I don't want it.
Yes.
And Linda, the guy that used to be our friend, our Facebook friend, the first 2 slides we showed, she actually got him to admit that in a Facebook exchange. And it's like, well, what? Because he was talking about there's no proof that they do anything, but and I could prove they can't. And she went off on him, and that was wound up being his answer to hers, because I don't want to. That was it. That's all there is to it, and that is it in a nutshell. Lynn?
He kept telling me that it was against his rights, and I kept telling him, what right is it violating? Tell me what right. And he couldn't give me that answer. And finally, he just came back with, I don't want to.
Yeah, and that was his right.
I don't want to. That was his right, because I don't want to.
Yeah. It's like an 8-year-old being told to help do the dishes. I don't want it.
I don't want to. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of this is. It's a lot of selfishness, and I just don't. It boggles the mind that somebody could be that selfish. Tony, were you trying to say something?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, okay. I just saw you pop across the screen there. I thought you were trying to get in. And some of them are just plain stupid. Yeah, some of them are just plain stupid, but a lot of it I think is selfishness, and they think they're standing up for I don't know what.
Yeah. Which doesn't help. When you cross the sovereign citizen thing where, they think they're above the law and stuff. I mean, most of these guys will never be real criminals. They're just criminally stupid, right?
Right.
But when you cross the sov sit mentality with the I just don't want to play masks because I don't want to. And then they realize that they don't realize, but they think that same position will work. But when has anybody ever seen the sov sit attitude work? When?
No, it hasn't. Wasn't it, what's that guy, Kevin Bissett? Is that the guy? He always talks about how he wins in court. No one's actually seen it, but
yeah. What is that guy's name? I can't remember offhand. Damn it.
Yeah, the family Bissett, something Bissett, I think. Did Kevin drop off the face of the earth here?
Yeah, I don't know. He's MIA.
Oh yeah, because he knows, he would know who I'm talking about right away. I know that Schrodinger's cat has covered him a few times. And he's a nut job, and he says in his videos, I've won millions of dollars.
You're talking about the Canadian sovereign citizen.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh God.
Says that he's his own law firm and his own judge and jury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody
is that Fokker?
No, it's not Fokker. It's another guy.
No. Yeah, his last name is Bissett, from our family Bissett. Marcel Bissett. That's it. Yeah, and he talks about how he's won millions. So I don't know.
He always says, "Oh, I'm going to sue you for $1 million, and I'm going to sue this person, and this is all easy to figure out in court." I have never once seen a record of any win from him.
Yeah. He has said, "I've never lost," which is probably true because he's probably never gone to court.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Interesting guy.
Oh, he's Yeah, he's
Hate that
he's
guy.
an ass though. He really is. You know, he's like a lot of these Covidiots, because the latest videos he's got out is about masks. He calls schools and tells them about how making the kids wear masks put their lives at danger, and he cites some.
I did a video about that. And it is amazing how quick he goes from, I'm just here to spread information, to, listen up, bitch, you better write this down or I'll fucking sue you.
Yeah, he does.
Within seconds. It's crazy how quickly he just changes.
Yes. It's like 0 to 100 in like 0.2 seconds. Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Watch that video. And it sometimes he doesn't have the other person on the line, so you can't hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes he does.
Well, I've noticed, first of all, he should never be doing it, because across Canada, it's not legal to do that without someone's consent. Although he usually does eventually let them know that it's being recorded, but I think that's why he usually does the one-sided conversations, because otherwise he'd get in serious legal trouble if he hasn't already, because calling and threatening people the way he does can't be wholly legal either.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it was used because he's always using a lot. He seems to have a smartphone, but when he makes these calls, they seem to be flip calls. I think it was you mentioned that you think they.
But notice, like, the only time I've ever seen someone with more than one flip phone is because it's a burner phone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you can't trace it back to him somehow.
Yeah, or like maybe it's hard
except
to.
For the fact that except the fact that he posts it on YouTube for the entire world to see. I mean, besides that, they can't trace it back to him. Yeah.
This idiot lives 40 minutes away from Factard. Wow. We need a roving reporter in the field day, you know?
Wow.
The cops are aware of him. He got in trouble a little while ago when he went up to some kids selling lemonade, and he paid for a glass of lemonade with $100 bill and his business card. And when people asked him about it, they were like, "Hey, what's this about?" He was like, "Oh, I just wanted to do something nice for the kids." No, you didn't, or else your fucking business card wouldn't have been in there. Huh. You're a grifter, is what you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's how creepy is it that he's giving kids his business card?
Yeah.
That's a bit odd.
Well, that's always want to indoctrinate them young.
Yeah, I guess. Wow.
No doubt.
And people, good.
You know, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. Should we be wrapping her up?
I think so. I think it's about time. It's one of our more serious episodes too. So
it was good though.
Yeah.
These kind of things need to be talked about without so much giggling and laughing all the time. So you know, it's not bad to have a night in the pub where not everybody's quite so hammered, so we can hash these things out. I'm glad we did.
Yeah, me too.
So who wants to wrap us up? Who wants to sound off on Covidiots in the real world?
Well, actually, I'd like to reiterate a point, which is to say that we live in a society. It provides us enormous benefits. We can afford to support specialists in medicine or in architecture and art or whatever, because we produce enough food surplus to do that. But in order to maintain social cohesion, we need to compromise. And one individual asserting their own rights to not wear a mask or not do something antisocial is unacceptable. It threatens society. It's antisocial behavior. And to me, that's the main problem with sovereign citizens, the ultra libertarians, whatever you want to call them, is that, they want to enjoy the benefits of society existing, but they don't want to have to abide by any of the rules that help it exist or pay any of the costs that are required to help it exist. And it's rank hypocrisy and greed of the first order. Rant over. You can carry on.
Well
now.
said. I like it, Tony. Very good. Very good. Awesome. Let's see here. Who's up? Barman.
Oh, Covidiots are just idiots. They don't deserve to go into a pub and drink. They should just be locked up until, and I don't want to say re-educated, but just educated and learn to know what the fuck is going on and stop being selfish little fuckballs. And then if it wasn't for them, with all the lockdowns we've had, it could be much better. There are probably people who have died because of these fucking morons, and it's fucking sickeningly annoying. And Philgies and you, stop avoiding questions. I answered.
Good one, Kevin.
Yeah, here's the thing, folks. I'm sick of wearing a mask too. The quicker we all grow the hell up and realize that my freedoms are unimportant in the face of a global pandemic, the quicker we can all get this over with and move on with our lives. And also, feel Jesus in you. I don't know why you say I don't have Jesus in my heart. Here's one of my favorite Christian rock songs right here.
I want to get down on my knees and start pleading Jesus. Salvation all over my face.
South
I love it. Oh man, that's a good one. Right on. Okay, Mike Bartleson.
Oh, everybody wear a mask and know that, you know, if no matter if you run into some of these guys and they tell you that they don't have to and there's no science that says it works, that's bullshit. And there's plenty of it that says it works. I can put up, maybe I can get a couple links put into the description underneath this, because there are peer-reviewed studies that say they work, and anybody who doesn't want to is just a selfish bastard because I don't want to, and that's all there is to it.
Good call, man. Good call. It's well, we've said a lot tonight. I think we've covered. Colin, what do you got for us, buddy? Is he still there?
Just Yeah, I'm still around. Just chilling out in the background, just enjoying my Hennessy. No, I'll totally reaffirm exactly what Mike said, exactly what Kevin said. We don't want to be wearing masks. We want life to go back to normal. So everybody, just grow the fuck up.
Awesome. Linda Bertelson.
Yeah, I just agree with everybody else. We need to wear masks, socially distance, and wash your hands.
Yes, I forgot that part.
Okay. And just stay safe until the vaccine. It's coming, but
yeah.
And you have to take the vaccine. Please get vaccinated. It won't kill you.
I couldn't agree more there. That's an entire second show, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is.
Wow. Yeah.
Microchips.
How about Aimee? What do you got, Aimee?
Thank you. I'm going to reiterate what everybody said. Wear your mask, wash your hands, socially distance. Remember, that's 2 meters or 6 feet apart. If I can get my son to wear a mask, and you too, Dick, if you can, if we can get our kids to wear masks who have social issues and sensory issues, be an adult and wear a mask. You can do it. It's not that hard. Just please be safe, and it will be over sooner if we all do that.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to say. Yeah. And thank you everybody for coming. Thank you.
Let's do the new. Let's do the new. No, well, what was
at the end? Yep, we will.
What was that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And myself, when it comes to being like an anti-masker and a Covidiot and whatnot, I encourage everyone to think like me. I am going to get myself some steel-toed boots and start kicking some genitals up through some dental work. Seriously, I've had enough of it. Fuck these fucks. Everybody, no, but seriously, like, we can't go around assaulting people, but what we can do is speak up, and speak up loudly as a group. You hear somebody saying to somebody else that they should be wearing a mask or something, get your voice in there too. Be heard. It has to be. It has to be a full-on thing. None of us can tolerate this. You can't be that person in the corner just going, "Oh, look at that person." No. Be vocal. Tell them off. And I think on that note, are we done, everybody? What do you think? No, Covidiots. No.
Can we do the no?
Hush.
Hey,
Go
that's
for it,
right,
Matt.
it's absolute drivel.
No. Shut up, Meg. Do the new one.
Good night, everybody.
Do the new one with me.
Good night.
Good night. Shut up, Meg.
And I.
Shut up.